All right, we are live for an emergency episode of big news that happened in Major League Soccer today. Huge report talking about Antoine Griezmann coming to MLS finally and playing for Orlando City SC. This is a little bit random. I don't think many people expected this news to come out. I'm sure no one expected this news to come out. And if it was going to be Griezmann news, I don't think anyone expected it to be Orlando City SC. So what we're going to do is we're going to read this report, talk about what's going to happen. I'm going to have a guest come on, John Rollins, who covers Orlando City. He's going to come on the next probably 5 to 10 minutes. We're going to get his thoughts on what this move would mean. And we're just going to kind of talk it through and see if it makes sense and see how big of a deal it would be for MLS and more specifically Orlando City SC. But before we get into that, guys, make sure you smash the like button down below if you haven't already. Honestly, didn't think we were going to do another episode because we did our weekly recap today, our first weekly recap of the MLS opening weekend. And if you haven't checked it out, make sure you guys watch that after you're done with this. Make sure you go check out our weekly recap and get a breakdown of what happened this weekend, all the games. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We hit 12,000 this weekend, which was incredible for the channel, 12K, and we're already 50 away from hitting 12,100. We just keep on growing, and it's all thanks to you guys. So I greatly appreciate all the support you guys show us. So make sure you guys subscribe and hit that little bell notification so you never miss a video. Elon Don says this would be great, huge. Rocky says, babe, wake up. Will's going live. I thought the transfer window was closed. Now it's not closed yet. Now it's not closed. It doesn't shut. So let's go ahead and read this. Okay. Because I say we'll probably be live for 20 to 30 minutes, but let's go ahead and read this report. Orlando City reportedly is in talks with Atletico Madrid and France star Antoine Griezmann. Orlando City reportedly in talks with Atletico Madrid attacking midfielder Antoine Griezmann, according to The Athletic. The former France captain has long-standing interest in MLS, and the Florida club is eager to sign former France captain before the primary transfer window shuts on March 26th. Griezmann has 6 goals in the Liga this season. Now, what's interesting about this too, which we'll talk about it more in detail, is that it seems like this would not be a summer move. This would be an immediate move. Griezmann would end up coming to Orlando ASAP. Now, when John comes on here, we'll talk more about that. But from my understanding, this would be an immediate move. This would not be something for the summer. That is a huge deal because getting him now for the full season would be incredible. And I think he could really help their team out. So let's read some more about this. So working on the deal, Orlando City reportedly has been engaged in discussions for some time with the club sporting director, Ricardo Pereira making multiple trips to Spain in order to hash out an agreement for one of France's all-time greats. Griezmann at 34 is arguably past his peak. He is, but remains an important part of Diego Simeone's squad, who are on the verge of qualifying for the Copa del Rey final. It goes on to say Griezmann, meanwhile, has never hid his fascination with American culture, nor his interest in playing in MLS. He is often seen at sporting events in the United States and made it clear his future plans. Everyone knows that MLS is my dream and my goal, he said in an interview with AS at the end of last year. Inter Miami has reportedly been interested in securing Griezmann's signature, but were unable to advance in the negotiations due to the fact that they already have 3 DPs on the roster. There was no way Inter Miami were going to get him as a non-DP. That would have raised a lot of concern. A lot of people have been upset about that. But it just talks about, Griezmann being a very decorated player and how good he is, and how he has been rumored for MLS for several years. So let's talk about how we got here. Okay, let's talk about what he's been linked to or where he's been rumored to go the last couple of years. So Griezmann, like we just read, has always had an infatuation with America. I know he loves basketball. I think he loves baseball. So he just loves American sports, right? There's been a rumor for several years now that he was going to go to LAFC. LAFC, I thought, had his discovery rights, which I don't think they do now, which is interesting. But there was a rumor that he was going to go to LAFC, and that dated back to 2024. And there were several reports saying that he was destined to go to LAFC, but it fell through. It never happened. And they signed Olivier Giroud. They signed Hugo Lloris. They signed all these French national team players to try to entice Griezmann, their big fish, to come to LAFC. It was very close to getting done at one point, and he pulled out. So it just never happened. It never materialized. Then there was the rumors last year that he was going to leave Atletico Madrid and go play with Messi at Inter Miami. Those rumors just kept building up, but it never materialized either, which is kind of funny in a sense because Griezmann has been a very good player throughout his career. No one would deny that. But the linking of him and Inter Miami was always weird to me because Messi and his time at Barcelona together wasn't that good. Griezmann never lived up to the price tag that Barcelona had paid for him. It's like 113 million euros. So I never understood the infatuation of trying to get him linked with Inter Miami and have a reunion with Messi. That never made any sense to me. But Orlando just feels very random. But that's a good thing. I'm not upset about this at all. I've said this for many, many, many months and years that when you sign big name players, spread the wealth, spread them out across the league, give people a reason to watch every team you possibly can watch. Don't stockpile every player on one club because then it's essentially saying, hey, that team's the only one you should watch. Don't worry about anyone else unless they're playing that team. But now when you spread it out, when you got Thomas Muller in Vancouver, you've got Son Heung-min in LAFC, you've got Griezmann in Orlando, you could have Robert Lewandowski in Chicago maybe this summer. You're spreading it out to where people have a reason to want to tune into all these teams and watch them play. So this is a very cool signing for Orlando City. And I'm going to ask John about this. I'm going to ask you guys if you agree or disagree. Would this be the biggest signing in Orlando City history? Would this be bigger than signing Kaká in 2015? Well, it was technically 2014, but 2015 is when he made his debut. And also, where would this rank all time in MLS signings? And I'll talk more about that when John joins here in the next couple minutes. But let me read this comment by Mr. a good friend of the show. He said, it's believable. The Athletic are usually pretty reliable. And if Tom Bogert says it, then there's usually at least a grain of truth to it. And then Orlando would make sense. He says, Angus says, Orlando's first match was abysmal. This possible move would create a Messi, Griezmann, Inter Miami, Orlando City rivalry. And then Mr. says the LAFC idea was to link him with Giroud. Exactly, 100%. But listen, John's in here, so I'm not going to have him waiting. I'm going to bring him in here and see what he thinks about this move. John, how's it going, my friend?
Good. Well, how are you doing, buddy?
I'm good. This was very shocking news. I don't think many people were expecting to hear this in the middle of the afternoon. Orlando City close to signing Antoine Griezmann. But here we are, man. This is great news for your club. I'm sure you're very excited.
Yeah, I mean, we have that open DP slot, and we thought maybe this transfer window, maybe in the summer. There was talk of it being a 9. There was talk of it being another attacking player. We've been waiting to bring in, that next level player. I feel like you see it with, what's happened with Müller and Son, and that in order to really compete, like you need a signing like this. And I had Griezmann on my list as a guy that, I mean, everybody would love to sign. Every single MLS club right now is jealous looking at this news. So if we bring him in, it's going to be massive. And then it's just a question of where does he work in our lineup? How does Oscar want to use him?
Well, I just said a second ago, and I want to talk to you about how they plan to use him because that's interesting. But I also want to talk to you about where he would rank all time in signings. There's a couple guys he could be competing with for the club's best signing in history. But one thing that I said before you hopped on here, John, is that this is awesome for the league. I mentioned he'd been linked with LAFC, he'd been linked with Inter Miami, but it's way cooler when these big name players get spread out because it kind of makes it more reason for casuals to watch other teams play, right? If you just stockpile all these guys on one team, it's like you're saying that's the only team you should be watching. Having him play in Orlando is super cool. And I know people will say, "Oh, Will is a Miami Glazer or whatever." No, I am a supporter of whoever is ambitious, and this is an ambitious move. And I know that Orlando City is not going to be getting a discount to sign him and bring him over to Florida. I love this move, man. This is awesome. Like, I love the ambition that Orlando City is showing. And I think Ziggy Wolf is the majority owner, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
No, it's Wilf,
Oh,
but yeah,
sorry, Ziggy Wolf. Sorry, Ziggy Wolf.
it's
Who did I say? Ziggy.
the
Is it
owners of
Ziggy
the
Wolf?
Vikings. So
Yes.
it's I forget his first name, but the Wilf
Yes.
Group.
Yes. They're very, very wealthy, right? And I
Hmm.
think that they have committed that they are wanting to spend money and improve this and do what it takes to win with this team. So I love this move, man. I think this is awesome. So let's talk about first how it would fit, and then we'll have some fun and talk about where it would rank all time. So Luis Muriel, obviously, they terminated his contract this offseason. He was supposed to be their striker. It didn't work out. They obviously have Martin Ojeda, who is one of the most underrated players. Now, I know you know how good he is, but I think people around the league don't know how good he is. He's super good. He's an elite, I think, playmaker in MLS. And then obviously Pasalic is their other DP. Where do you see him fitting into this team?
I think I think it is either striker or left wing. I mean, the obvious thing to do is to keep Martin Ojeda in the number 10 position. He looks really comfortable there. He's been great for us there. Marco Pasalic is a natural right winger. So if you're just going to say everybody stays where they are, where can you put him? Left wing, we have a new guy in Thiago who looked pretty good. He scored a goal already. So you could potentially keep Thiago there. And then you could play Griezmann instead of Duncan McGuire in the number 9 position. I feel like Oscar Pereira in the past does well with those kind of 9s. Like we've had Ramiro Enrique do that kind of role for us. A very kind of mobile 9 that can move around, make runs off the ball, kind of interplay with Martin Ojeda where he kind of drops and Martin Ojeda could go in front of him. So I think probably he's going to play the 9, but we could keep Duncan McGuire up front and bring him on at the left. I mean, Griezmann can play anywhere in these positions. Like that's the beauty of a player like him is any of these attacking midfield roles he would be good in. But I think what makes sense for us in keeping Ojeda and Pasalic where they are in the roles there are, and the fact that we have so many wingers and not that many number 9s, I think it makes sense to put him in at number 9 and let him kind of be that, mobile, like shadow striker type that can kind of read the game and drop into spaces and move around. But it's a big piece that we're missing. And not only positionally, but we need somebody that the team can kind of look up to and we can put put the team on their back, right? We haven't, since Nani left, I don't think we've really had that kind of out and out star or name or just, presence in the locker room that's been in big games around the world and been there and done that. So I think if we can bring in Griezmann, it's the same as what you saw Mueller do for Vancouver, right?
I
Your
agree.
team is so good, and then once you add that final piece, it takes it to the next level. But it has to be the right guy, and Griezmann is 100% the right guy.
Yeah, that's a good comparison. I think that Orlando City could be very similar to Vancouver this year. Now, obviously, they didn't have the start to the season they would like, but I that it's just one game. I don't put too much stock into that. There's still 33 matches left this season, and if they sign someone like this, all bets are off. I had Orlando City finishing fourth place in the Eastern Conference this 2026 season. That's my prediction. Obviously, that was before this. And the Eastern Conference is brutal. We know that there's not really any weeks off. The whole entire conference is very competitive. It's not just Miami. There's several good teams that you have to battle each week. And adding a piece like this, man, is huge. Like Luis Muriel was he was such a disaster. Like he did not produce like someone you're paying. I think he was making 3 to 4 million annually. When you pay someone that much to be your striker, you're expecting at least like 15 goals, maybe if not more. I think Antoine Griezmann walks in here and is automatically, I mean, he is a better player, throughout his career, but at this point, he's so much better. He's going to be night and day versus Luis Muriel. And if they could get someone up top who could score 15 goals, that's not even that crazy, John. If they could get 15 goals, and I know they can, because Martin Ojeda's service is incredible. Like he puts it on the platter. This team could be a contender in the Eastern Conference. And I think now if they can get this done, that they will be a true contender. And I'm not saying like, 4 or 5 teams. I mean, like, I think that they are right there with Nashville and Inter Miami for the Eastern Conference.
I like that you have us so high this year. I feel like not as many people are that hot on us this year, Will. And I think because we had made so many changes, but we feel like we are gonna improve as the year goes on. A lot of new faces, a lot of young U22s that come in that are just gonna take time to figure it out. But we don't have this piece, right? So if you add this on top, all the conversations about where we could be this year, I think you're totally right. It jumps up. If you had us lower playoffs, you're now going to look at us as a lock in playoffs, right? If you're thinking we're a 4 or 5 kind of place team, where you're thinking, okay, now that puts us in the conversation to be one of the top teams in the East. I mean, he's so prolific. He's the kind of guy that he just scores goals from anywhere. I mean, he's got 200 goals for Atletico Madrid in his time there and just been, an absolute legend. And I feel like he will just be lethal in this league, the same way you see like Son be lethal, where he just knows where the net is. He knows how to bring other players in and make all the players around him better. And not only for that, for us, it'll put butts in seats, right? Because we're missing that name. We need a name to bring some of these fans in, the casuals, so that we can kind of get some more sellouts and get some more positivity around the club.
No, I agree. And guys, if you're just joining us, make sure you guys like this video down below. It helps us out, pushes it out for us. Also, if you have any questions for John, feel free to ask us and we'll try to answer those. And make sure you guys subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Yeah, John, this is incredible, man. Like I said, heading into the summer, there was a plan for MLS to sign some big name players, at least recognizable players. And this is a great start if they can get Griezmann, because if I'm not mistaken, it looks like he would be coming over ASAP. Is that correct?
This is not confirmed, but we have a feeling like this was released because they're trying to get Atletico Madrid to maybe make it happen, right? I think they wanted to get the word out there to say Griezmann is interested, this could happen, and to make it happen now. Of course, he's not in the window for, La Liga, but it is now the window open for MLS. Does Atletico Madrid want to lose a player in the middle of their season? I'm sure not, but he's not featuring as much recently. Like he's been getting less and less minutes. So I think maybe there's a world in which Atletico Madrid let him go like now and we get him in before this window closes, which would be huge because like I'll take Griezmann in the summer. I have no problem with waiting, but if the club is going to really push to get him in now, then that really accelerates how we can look by the time the summer comes, and then potentially, push on from there. A lot of what the Orlando City fans thought was going to happen was us waiting till the summer to kind of figure out who's the guy for us. So if this is the guy and we can get him now, then that's a win-win scenario.
Yeah, Angus asked how long it would take him to get his papers. I'm not sure. I think they'd probably do it as a speedy process. I think they're normally pretty good about getting them their work visas and everything they would need. Well, the key thing for me, John, getting him now is kind of like you said, I don't want to say beggars can't be choosers, but like you want a player of this, like you will take him no matter what. Like you will work within the constraints to get him here and be on your team. But if we could pick, you'd want him now, just because if he doesn't come over now or in the next couple of weeks before this, because the window closes March 26th. If he doesn't come over now, that means he wouldn't make his Orlando City debut until likely August, if I'm not mistaken. That's a long ways away. So that would be almost like a tease. You'd be waiting so long. And then at that point, 2/3 of your season's already done. It would be better to rock with him the whole entire season and be at full strength. So, based on the reason I asked you that is because based on what I've read, they're willing to pay a fee. They're trying to get him ASAP. They want him in now. And there were the rumors about Richarlison from Tottenham coming here too. This is way better, in my opinion. I've talked to several people, and I don't want to shit on Richarlison, but I've heard that he's very overrated and that it would be more likely that he would be disappointing than exciting for Orlando City, especially what they'd have to pay for him.
Richarlison he's not quite the level, right? I think that's the thing. You can get like B level DP signings and A level DP signings, and Griezmann is much, much better than Richarlison. I think in terms of us actually paying money to bring him in now, I can see it happening. I don't see why not. We have spent, money in the past and on players like Facu Torres, Martino Ojeda. We're not a club that typically goes out and spends 10, 15 million. But if it's Griezmann and you're going to lock him in now instead of in the summer, I think that's worth, 15, 20 million. Not only from the jersey sales you're probably going to make back, but, like I said, butts and seats, etc. Guys like this, they tend to make you money as well as cost you a lot of money.
Is this the move that's going to take down Inter Miami?
I don't know about that. I would like so. I think it definitely makes us more competitive. I think it puts a leader on the field that will allow us to beat Miami, I think, more often than not. I think last year when the big games came for us, we just didn't have anybody to lead the team and say, this is how it's going to be and follow me. I think we missed that. And there were times last year where we looked really good, but we didn't have that leadership at the end of the year. Maybe a guy like Griezmann can be the difference maker.
Well, I mean, this would be the third World Cup winner that they've signed MLS, as a league, and I do think that World Cup pedigree does help. And to your point, I don't know how much quality Thomas Muller has compared to what he once was at Bayern, but he still has that, like you said, that like he's a general. Like he kind of gives like confidence when they're like going to war, going to battle. Having him on your side kind of makes you feel like you have a really good chance, or you might even be the favorite. I think that having Griezmann is going to help this team be more confident. And you know how I feel about Oscar Pareja. I don't rate him very highly. I don't think you rate him very highly. But I think that if you have a player like Griezmann who can kind of unlock other people around him, I don't think it really matters unless the coach is a complete idiot, which I wouldn't say he's that. I just think he's limited. But I mean, Griezmann might even make him look like he's a world beater, like he might be a great manager, just because that it just unlocks so many different, so much potential. But let's get to the fun part. Let's talk about where this would rank all time. Okay, I'll tell you what I feel about it. I think Kaká's the biggest name, but Nani's the best signing of all time for Orlando City, in my opinion. So I think if they sign Griezmann, I think that he has a chance to be the biggest, like the best of both, like the name and the performance. So I think that if he can play like Nani, he will be the biggest player in club history all around.
Yeah, I mean, you nailed it. Like Kaká was the biggest face. He put us on the map, but he didn't really do much on the field. Nani was still really great at the age he was. Consummate professional, still could do it on the field. I think Griezmann's a mix of both. I think he's gonna, be that face, but also like he can still do it on the field. And I think he would definitely be, one of the most impressive names that ever wore the color purple.
Well, also too, I think Kaká, winning a Ballon d'Or, winning a World Cup, the teams he's played for, the Brazilian market in Orlando is kind of like the perfect storm. If he had been healthy, it would have been a lot different. But Griezmann is just like, I think he's cut from a different cloth. He's great, but a different way. And I kind of wonder Now, obviously, you mentioned about him kind of declining or not getting as much minutes with Atletico, but if they're able to sign him, I feel like you have to put Antoine Griezmann as a top 5 signing of all time in MLS history, just on pedigree alone, right?
I feel like he's up there in that conversation, which, for Orlando City is big, right? I think there's a lot of clubs in this league that he could have gone to. Of course, there's all the LAFC rumors for years, but when someone said to me, "Where's Antoine Griezmann going?" most of the time I would have been like a Miami or an LA or a New York, right? And that's not to, belittle our market, but that's just how it is. It's not always the chance that, the smaller markets like ours get a chance to sign someone as big as Griezmann is. So I think from our perspective, an Orlando perspective, we're really excited about that because we didn't know if we would be able to be in the mix for somebody like this. And when it does happen, it has even more impact, I think, because those markets are just then flooded by all this excitement. That bigger markets have got other big players. We don't really have anybody that's this massive. Martino Ojeda is awesome, but sadly, people just don't know who he is, right? He doesn't bring butts to seats, even though he's really entertaining, whereas Griezmann definitely will.
Well, if we're going to compare them, we made the Orlando or the Vancouver Whitecaps comparison a few minutes ago. I actually think it might be more similar to LAFC. And the reason I say that is because I don't think that Vancouver had a player like Ojeda. They don't have a guy like that. But LAFC did, and Denny Bouanga, who is a superstar in the league. But, people abroad don't really know him, or if you don't follow LAFC closely, you don't know him. And look at how much better he played when Son Heung-min came there. I think Antoine Griezmann will be Orlando City's Son Heung-min. I think he will come in there and make these players better, open up more opportunities, get more attention. And I think Ojeda could just absolutely go crazy this year. And it would be hard to top his last year because it was so good, right? Double digit assists and goals for Orlando City. But I think he could. I think that they could be more like LAFC, honestly, than Vancouver, which is that is a good thing. I would rather be like that because they might be the best team in the league.
I think if he can perform at the level that Son does in this league, and there is a question around like where exactly is he in his career? How impactful can he be? But he's still very, very good in La Liga. So if you think about how good Son was still in the Premier League before he came to MLS, similar kind of comparison. I mean, that would be incredible if he just came here and lit the world on fire. The other thing is he doesn't play for France anymore, so we don't really need to worry about that part of it, which is always sometimes an issue with these older guys.
So, two more questions. First question, before we wrap this up. If Griezmann comes over, we mentioned the top 5 signings of all time. Would he be a top 5 player in the league?
I think he's up there. I think he would be up there. I think he's got all the skills to be. Like he can just score from anywhere. And also set pieces. That's another thing. He's one of the best set piece takers and has been for a long time. I love the way he strikes the ball. So, maybe we see a lot of those kind of Sun moments from Griezmann where he just wins it with a set piece in the last minute.
Okay. I do think if he comes here, he has a very good chance of being a top 5 player. I think that, playing in, and I don't mean this as a slight to MLS, but going from the Liga to MLS, I think is going to make him look better too, and show that he still has quality. Because a lot of people thought Sonny was washed, he wasn't good anymore, and he came here and he's might be the best player in the league.
Yeah.
So I think that when we're talking about a top 5 league in the world and then coming over to a top 10, top 12 league in the world, it's just completely different, and it can make them look more like their old self because of who they're playing against, which is good. That's a good thing. Okay, my second question. I said earlier that I had them at number 4. I asked you if you thought they were a true contender. Now, where did you have Orlando City in your preseason rankings? Where did you think they were going to finish? And now, where do you think they will finish if they get this across the line ASAP?
I had a 6th, so a little bit less than you. I think it'll take some time for us to figure stuff out this year. But I think now if Griezmann comes in and it happens in this window, I think we're looking at potentially like a top 3 finish then. I think that really accelerates us. I still think Nashville, Miami are just incredibly good and have really, really good squads. I think it would put us on the level with them. Whether it makes us out and out better than them, I don't think that's the case.
I agree, man. I agree. And so I hope that this happens. I would expect us to hear more this week about it. These things normally move pretty quick, but the way that it was phrased made it seem like it's more of a done deal and they're just kind of crossing some T's, dotting some I's, getting things across the finish line. But yeah, I mean, this would be an incredible signing for Orlando City. It'd be an incredible signing for MLS. And I feel like this is the start of something special where other teams around the league are going to start signing big name players. So it's absolutely incredible. Before I let you go, where can the people find you at on X and where can they find your YouTube channel at?
You can find me as John Rollins TV on X or Instagram or Facebook. That's also my personal YouTube channel where I do a bunch of MLS and NWSL and lots of other content. But for Orlando City, I'm part of the Loud and Proud Orlando podcast team, and you can find us on YouTube as well.
Well, I appreciate your time, John. I really do. And I'm very happy for you and your fellow Orlando City fans. Guys, if you enjoyed this, make sure you give us a like down below. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit that little bell notification so you never miss a video. Also, make sure you guys tell us what you think about this signing. Is it a big deal, small deal, or no deal? Let us know down below. Until next time, guys, I will see you all soon.